science unlock the secrets of the paranormal? Our mission is to unravel the mysteries of the spooky, but we do it through the lens of science and not sensationalism. We are Mount Washington Valley Spirit Paranormal Investigators. We're committed to exploring the techniques used in the field, always prioritizing critical thinking, often finding natural explanations for seemingly paranormal events. And now, here's the host of the Mount Washington Valley Spirit Podcast, Eric Extreme.
Hello, and thank you for joining me on the Mount Washington Valley Spirit Podcast, which is dedicated to exploring what is perceived as paranormal activity through a scientific eye. I'm your host, Eric Extreme. It has been nearly 3 years since I last produced an episode of this podcast, as life took me in a different direction. I focused on developing a nonprofit organization that I took over as executive director. But I am back, and today we're tackling a common aspect of our work that often gets overlooked: the role of sleep deprivation in the perception of paranormal activity. Let's be honest, we've all received those calls. Potential clients describing unsettling events, convinced they're experiencing something paranormal. Their voices are often filled with fear, anxiety, and a desperate plea for help. Our first instinct, driven by a passion for the unknown and a desire to assist those in need, might be to rush to the location with investigative equipment, in the hopes of finding something spooky. But what if I told you that one of the most effective tools in your toolkit isn't specialized equipment or even a deep understanding of parapsychology, but a simple, well structured client interview designed to identify potential non paranormal causes before you even set foot on the property? Today, we will explore why understanding sleep deprivation is crucial before conducting an on site investigation. We'll explore in detail how it can manifest in client reports, providing you with specific red flags to look for and questions to ask. We'll discuss how to approach the topic with sensitivity and professionalism, ensuring that you build trust and rapport with your clients, even when exploring potentially sensitive and personal issues. We'll emphasize the ethical considerations involved in pre investigation assessment, reminding ourselves that our primary responsibility is to our clients' well being and to the pursuit of the truth, not to sensationalism or the thrill of what television presents as a paranormal investigation. Are there any spooky ghosts here? Look, what is that? What is that? Oh, forgive me. I don't know what television influence caused that manifestation right there. I think it was maybe 20 years ago. Anyway, let's get back to the real world. Most situations perceived as paranormal will have a natural explanation, whether due to environmental or human factors. So, what is our ultimate goal? Our goal is to find the truth for our clients, not to focus on our own entertainment and search for spooky ghosts. We must first address potential natural causes. So, let's get down to brass tacks. What makes sleep deprivation such a critical factor in pre investigation assessment? Why should we prioritize a seemingly mundane issue over the excitement of a potential haunting or the alert of the unknown? Simply put, it's a perception altering powerhouse. It's a silent saboteur that can warp our senses, distort our memories, amplify our anxieties, and ultimately lead us to misinterpret perfectly normal events as something extraordinary, even supernatural. And the truly concerning part is that many people are chronically sleep deprived without even realizing it, often attributing their symptoms to stress, aging, or other factors, utterly unaware that a simple lack of sleep could be the root cause of their unsettling experiences. We're not just talking about the occasional late night spent binge watching a favorite TV show or feeling of grogginess after a particularly stressful day at work. Sleep deprivation, in the context we're discussing, is a chronic state where an individual consistently gets less sleep than their brain and body need to function optimally. This creates a sleep debt that accumulates over time, impacting everything from cognitive function and the emotional stability to physical health and overall quality of life. And the more sleep deprived someone is, the more likely they are to experience perceptual distortions, cognitive impairments, and emotional dysregulation that can mimic, or at least exacerbate, the symptoms often associated with paranormal activity. As ethical investigators, our primary responsibility is to rule out any potential natural explanations for the events our clients are reporting. This is not just a matter of good practice, it's a fundamental ethical obligation. We owe it to our clients to approach their cases with objectivity, skepticism, and a commitment to the truth. and that means thoroughly exploring all possible explanations before considering paranormal involvement. Sleep deprivation should be high on the list of potential natural causes to investigate. It's not about dismissing their experiences, invalidating their feelings, or implying that they're simply imagining things. It's about being thorough, responsible, and ultimately helpful, guiding them towards solutions that address the root causes of their distress, whether that cause is paranormal or not. So, how do we effectively identify potential sleep deprivation in a pre investigation client interview? How do we gather the information needed to assess whether a lack of sleep is contributing to their reported experiences? As I mentioned earlier, it starts with asking the right questions, but it also requires active listening, observation, and a genuine desire to understand our clients' lives and experiences. We need to move beyond simply asking, "Are you getting enough sleep?" and delve deeper into their sleep habits, daily routines, overall well being, and the specific details of the events they're reporting. There are some key areas to explore in detail during the pre investigation interview, along with specific questions you can ask to gather the information you need. During the intake, set a neutral tone and guide the client through a clear timeline. Start with their usual weekday and weekend bedtimes and wake times. Then note how much that timing drifts across a typical week. Ask what a normal night feels like, how long it takes to fall asleep, how often they wake, and how rested they feel on rising. Briefly review evening behaviors that can shift sleep, such as screens, late meals, workouts, caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, or new medications, and record timing rather than opinions. Screen for red flags such as loud snoring, witness breathing pauses, morning headaches, or leg discomfort that eases with movement. Map daily routines and any shift work. List current medications and recent changes in dose or timing. Include over the counter items and supplements. Establish the current stressors and emotional context, maintaining a steady and respectful tone. Then anchor each reported event in time and place. For every incident, capture the date, an estimated clock time, room, what the person was doing immediately before it began, whether they were trying to fall asleep or had just awakened, exactly what they perceived, how long it lasted, and what changed with movement, light, or position. Note environmental contributors such as house noises, airflow, reflections, or temperature shifts, and any pattern or triggers the client has noticed. Tie each event to the previous day's total sleep and notable stressors and compare good continuous nights with shorter fragmented nights. But what specific types of misperceptions might we expect to see in sleep deprived clients? What are false telltale signs that a lack of sleep is distorting their perceptions and leading them to believe they're experiencing something paranormal? Let's delve deeper into some common examples and explore how sleep deprivation can contribute to these misinterpretations. Let's now turn our attention to the specific ways in which sleep deprivation can warp our senses and lead to misinterpretations of the environment, causing individuals to believe they are experiencing something paranormal when a natural explanation is far more likely. It's important to move beyond general statements about hallucinations and illusions and delve into the concrete ways these misperceptions can manifest. This will equip us, as investigators, to better identify potential cases where sleep deprivation is a primary factor and to guide our clients towards appropriate solutions. One common report, as we've discussed, is the feeling of being watched. This is known scientifically as scopesthesia. A client might describe feeling as though they are constantly being observed, even when alone in their room. They might attribute this feeling to a malevolent entity, a ghostly presence, or some other supernatural force, but sleep deprivation can significantly heighten anxiety and sensory awareness, leading to a sense of paranoia and the feeling of being constantly on edge. When tired, the client's senses might be on high alert, making them more aware of subtle sounds, movements, and shadows that they would normally filter out. This heightened awareness, combined with increased anxiety and a tendency to misinterpret ambiguous stimuli, can easily lead to the pervasive and unsettling feeling of being watched. To understand how sleep deprivation contributes to this, consider that a rested brain is efficient at filtering out irrelevant sensory information. It knows that the creaking of the house settling is just that, the house settling. But a sleep deprived brain is less efficient. It's more likely to register every little sound, every flicker of light, every subtle temperature change. This constant barrage of sensory input can be overwhelming, leading to a feeling of hyperawareness and a sense that something is amiss. Sleep deprivation often goes hand in hand with increased anxiety. When you're tired, your brain is less able to regulate your emotions, making you more prone to worry, fear, and paranoia. This heightened anxiety can then amplify the feeling of being watched, leading you to interpret everyday sensory experiences as evidence of a threatening presence. Another common report that we often encounter is the experience of strange and unexplained noises within the home. A client might describe hearing disembodied footsteps, mysterious knocking sounds, faint whispers, or other unusual noises that seem to have no discernible source. They might attribute these noises to a ghostly presence attempting to communicate, to some other form of paranormal activity, or even to a home invasion. But sleep deprivation can also lead to auditory hallucinations, misinterpretations of everyday sounds, and an increased susceptibility to suggestion. When tired and stressed, the client's brain might be more prone to misinterpreting random sounds, such as the creaking of the house settling, the rustling of leaves outside, the hum of electrical appliances, or even their own internal bodily sounds as something more meaningful and potentially threatening. To illustrate this, think about how easily you can mishear someone when you're tired. A mumbled word can sound like something completely different, and you might even think you heard someone say something that they didn't say at all. This is because sleep deprivation impairs your brain's ability to process auditory information accurately. It makes you more prone to auditory illusions and hallucinations where you hear sounds that aren't actually there. Sleep deprivation can also make you more susceptible to suggestion. If you're already anxious and expecting to hear something strange, you're more likely to misinterpret a random noise as evidence of paranormal activity. In more severe cases of sleep deprivation, individuals might experience full blown auditory hallucinations, hearing distinct voices, music, or other sounds that have no external source whatsoever. These hallucinations can be incredibly vivid and realistic, making it extremely difficult for the individual to distinguish them from reality. For example, a client might report hearing a full orchestra playing in their attic every night between 3 and 4 a.m. They are convinced that a group of spirits is holding nightly concerts in their home. This is known as musical hallucination or musical ant syndrome. However, a detailed assessment reveals that they have a long history of insomnia and often go days without getting more than a few hours of sleep. The orchestra is almost certainly an auditory hallucination, a symptom of their severe and chronic sleep deprivation. Beyond auditory misperceptions, sleep deprivation can also significantly impact our visual processing, leading to a range of visual distortions, illusions, and hallucinations. One common manifestation is an increased sensitivity to light and shadow. Individuals might report seeing shadows moving in the periphery of their vision, even when there is no apparent source of light or movement. They might also become more sensitive to bright lights, experiencing glare or discomfort that they overlooked before. Consider a client who reports seeing shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their bedroom every night, convinced that these figures are spirits watching them. However, they also admit to sleeping with the curtains open, allowing headlights from passing cars to sweep across their room throughout the night. They are easily startled by these sudden flashes of light, and their anxiety levels are consistently high. In this case, the shadowy figures are likely a combination of sleep deprivation induced anxiety and the misinterpretation of normal visual stimuli. In other instances, individuals may experience visual illusions where they misinterpret everyday objects or patterns as something entirely different. A coat hanging on a door might look like a person standing in the shadows, or a pattern on the wallpaper might look like a face staring back at them. The sleep deprived brain, struggling to process visual information accurately, fills in the gaps and creates a distorted image based on the individual's expectations and fears. Imagine a client who reports seeing a ghostly face appear on their bedroom wall every night, convinced that their home is haunted. However, upon further questioning, it is revealed that the face is actually a pattern in the wallpaper that they have only started noticing since they began experiencing significant sleep problems. The pattern, which was previously unnoticed, has now become a source of intense fear and anxiety, thanks to the client's sleep deprived state. This phenomenon is known as the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, also referred to as frequency illusion. This is where something that has already been present for a period of time, but after becoming aware of it, you notice it much more frequently. And yet, another common report that we should be aware of is the appearance of fleeting shadow figures in the periphery of vision. A client might describe seeing quick glimpses of dark, indistinct shapes darting across a room, lurking in the corners of their eyes, or hovering just outside their field of vision. They might attribute these figures to a supernatural entity attempting to manifest itself, to some other form of paranormal activity, or even to a figment of their imagination. But sleep deprivation can also cause visual distortions, illusions, and increased susceptibility to hallucinations. When tired and fatigued, the client's vision might become blurred, and they might start to see things that aren't really there, leading to the perception of shadowy figures that are simply a product of their own tired minds. To understand this, consider how your vision changes when you're exhausted. Your eyes may feel heavy, your vision may become blurry, and you may start to see spots or floaters in your field of vision. These visual distortions can be easily misinterpreted as shadowy figures, especially when you're already anxious and expecting to see something paranormal. Sleep deprivation can also affect your brain's ability to process visual information, making you more prone to visual illusions and hallucinations. You might see shapes and patterns that aren't really there, or you might misinterpret shadows and reflections as something more sinister. While less common than auditory or visual misperceptions, sleep deprivation can also affect tactile sensations, leading to feelings of touch, pressure, or temperature changes that have no external source. One example is formication, where clients may report feeling as if insects are crawling on their skin, a sensation that can be incredibly distressing and can lead to intense itching and scratching. Consider a client who reports feeling like spiders are crawling all over their body every night, preventing them from falling asleep. They are convinced that their home is infested with paranormal insects. However, they have been under a great deal of stress at work and have been experiencing significant sleep problems for several months. The sensation of spiders crawling on their skin is likely a tactile hallucination, a symptom of their sleep deprivation and anxiety. Other tactile misperceptions include changes in temperature perception, where clients might report feeling sudden cold spots or hot spots in certain areas of their home, even when their temperature is relatively stable. They might attribute these temperature changes to a ghostly presence, but sleep deprivation can impair the body's ability to regulate its temperature, making individuals more sensitive to minor fluctuations in the environment. Imagine a client reporting a sudden chill in their bedroom every night, convinced that a ghostly presence is lowering the temperature, which is another false theory fabricated for television. However, they also admit to sleeping with a fan on and often waking up feeling cold and clammy. The perceived cold spot is likely a result of their sleep deprived body's inability to regulate temperature effectively, combined with the cooling effect of the fan. In rare cases, sleep deprivation can even lead to full blown tactile hallucinations, where individuals feel like they are being touched, pushed, or even attacked by an unseen force. These experiences can be incredibly terrifying and can lead to significant psychological distress. This typically occurs at the point of waking up, known as hypnopompic hallucinations, or at the point of falling asleep, known as hypnagogic hallucinations. These are natural occurrences resulting from the process our brain undergoes during these transitional phases. Consider a client who reports feeling like they are being choked in their sleep every night, convinced that a demonic entity is attacking them. However, medical evaluation reveals that they have a history of sleep apnea and often wake up gasping for air. The sensation of being choked is likely a tactile hallucination caused by their sleep apnea, exacerbated by their sleep deprived state and their pre existing anxieties. Finally, let's consider the impact of sleep deprivation on our sense of smell. While less frequently reported than auditory, visual, or tactile misperceptions, sleep deprivation can also affect our olfactory processing, leading to the perception of odors that are not actually present. These are often referred to as phantosmia or phantom smells. Clients might report smelling distinct odors such as smoke, perfume, or rotting flesh, even when there is no apparent source of the smell. These phantom smells can be incredibly unsettling and can lead to a great deal of anxiety and fear. These can also occur randomly at any time. This is olfactory pareidolia. Imagine a client who reports smelling a strong odor of sulfur in the basement every night, convinced that it is a sign of a demonic entity. However, a medical evaluation reveals that they have a history of sinus problems and often experience phantom smells as a result of their condition. The perceived odor of sulfur is likely an olfactory hallucination, a symptom of their sinus problem that is being misinterpreted as a paranormal sign. In other cases, sleep deprivation can lead to an increased sensitivity to existing odors, where clients might perceive normal smells as being much stronger or more unpleasant than they actually are. This can be particularly problematic in homes with pets, mold, or other sources of odor. Imagine a client who reports that their house smells like rotting flesh, even though they can't find any source of the odor. They are convinced that a dead animal is trapped somewhere in the walls or that an evil presence is causing the smell. However, they also admit to having a very sensitive sense of smell and to having recently cleaned their house with a new cleaning product that has a strong and pleasant odor. The perceived odor of rotting flesh is likely a combination of their heightened sensitivity to smells and the lingering odor of the cleaning product. In each of these cases, and in countless others that we encounter in our work, it's essential to carefully consider the possibility that sleep deprivation is playing a significant role in shaping our clients' perceptions and influencing their accounts of their experiences. Additionally, consider the numerous paranormal television shows and movies that have been available over the past few decades. These shows are designed for entertainment purposes and have no basis in scientific reality. The stories are sensationalized, and the equipment used is nothing more than flashy props that aren't capable of paranormal detection as they are portrayed to be. Paranormal investigators use various devices, including infrasound and ultrasound analyzers, detectors that monitor volatile gases, air quality analyzers, electrostatic and ion balance detectors, Geiger counters, and atmospheric analyzers, among others. Paranormal investigators attempt to find natural causes for perceived paranormal activity and do not try to confirm paranormal activity with television inspired theatrics. As I say at the end of every episode, the science comes before the spooky. It's important to note that these are just a few examples of the many different types of misperceptions that can arise from sleep deprivation. The specific experiences a client reports will depend on various factors, including their individual sleep habits, emotional state, personality, and the particular characteristics of their environment. As investigators, our job is to carefully listen to our clients' reports, to ask probing questions, and to consider all possible explanations for their experiences. By understanding the potential effects of sleep deprivation, we can avoid jumping to conclusions based on potentially unreliable accounts and provide our clients with the most accurate and helpful guidance possible. This means not only being aware of the common types of misperceptions, but also being skilled at eliciting detailed information from our clients about their sleep habits, their daily routines, and the specific circumstances surrounding their reported experiences. Only then can we begin to assess the likelihood that sleep deprivation is playing a significant role and to determine whether an on site investigation is truly warranted. Remember, our goal is to help our clients find answers and peace of mind. Sometimes the most effective way to do that is to start by addressing the simplest and most likely explanations first. By asking the right questions, gathering the relevant information about their sleep habits and overall well being, and approaching the topic with sensitivity, empathy, and tact, we can help our clients to understand the potential natural causes of their experiences and to make more informed decisions about how to proceed, whether that involves seeking medical attention, improving their sleep hygiene, or if necessary, continuing to explore the possibility of paranormal activity with a clearer and more objective perspective. Always remember that if a client is perceived to be struggling with mental health in any way, you should stop any investigation immediately and refer them to a mental health practitioner. If someone has a mental illness, any confirmation or denial of their perceptions could cause dangerous unintended consequences. Finally, let's discuss the ethical considerations involved in pre investigation client assessment. As paranormal investigators, we have a responsibility to act ethically and responsibly in all of our interactions with clients. This means respecting their beliefs, protecting their privacy, and avoiding any actions that could cause them harm. When discussing sensitive topics such as sleep deprivation, it's essential to be mindful of the potential to cause offense or distress. Some clients may be defensive or resistant to the idea that their experiences could be related to a natural cause. It's important to approach these conversations with sensitivity, empathy, and respect. Remind your clients that you're not trying to dismiss their experiences or invalidate their feelings. You're simply exploring all possible explanations to ensure that you're providing them with the most accurate and helpful guidance possible. It's also important to protect your client's privacy. Any information you gather during the pre investigation assessment should be kept confidential and used solely for the purpose of evaluating the case. You should also avoid making any promises or guarantees about the outcome of your assessment. You can't promise that you'll be able to solve their problems or that you'll be able to prove or disprove the existence of paranormal activity. Your role is to provide them with information, guidance, and support, and to help them make informed decisions on how to proceed. By adhering to these ethical guidelines, you can ensure that you conduct pre investigation assessments responsibly and ethically, thereby fostering trust with your clients and delivering the best possible service. Remember, pre investigation assessment is not just a formality, it's the most important step in the paranormal investigation process. By prioritizing this aspect of our work and understanding the potential effects of sleep deprivation, as well as the influence of other human behavioral patterns and naturally occurring environmental factors, we can become more responsible and effective paranormal investigators, providing valuable assistance to those seeking answers in the face of the unknown. Thank you for having a willingness to learn, grow, and expand your knowledge on how to conduct a science based paranormal investigation by listening to the Mount Washington Valley Spirit podcast. Your devotion to the truth is what will help repair the reputation of our field of study, which has been damaged by television shows and the false impressions and misinformation they spread in the name of entertainment. Science has been, and always will be, the key to unlocking the mysteries of the paranormal. Don't be fooled by the shadows. Seek the light of reason. Remember, trust no one until rationality has exhausted all logical possibilities. I want to believe, but science must be your guide because the truth is out there, just beyond the veil. Until next time, stay skeptical.
Thanks for joining us on the Mount Washington Valley Spirit Podcast. We hope you'll continue to explore the scientific side of the unexplained with us. Eric is authoring a book, which you can check out at www.apparitionofthepast.com. But before you go chasing shadows, remember that science always comes before the spooky.